Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. As Michigan fans, we just continue the all-time heater, not only on the football field, but also on the recruiting trail. Four-star linebacker Nathaniel Owusu Boateng committing to Michigan. It kind of came down to Michigan and Colorado. Uh, the first thing I want to say about this commitment is really good football player. And you look at some other recruiting services are significantly higher on this kid. Rivals has him as the number 2 linebacker in the country, a 5-star prospect. Really good football player, but another really good fit for Michigan in this 2025 class. Michigan has, very intentionally gone to more athletic linebackers that know how to operate in space on the recruiting trail. And it's paid dividends on the football field as well. And especially when you look at, Wink Martindale and what we want to do on the defensive side of the football, being very versatile with these linebackers, whether it's coming off the edge, whether it's blitzing the A gap, whether it's dropping back in coverage. You need linebackers that can do it all. And I think Nathaniel Owusu Boateng script. And so what I love most is one really good football player, but also a really good fit in this Michigan defense. Fired up to get into a little bit of the film, talk about where else Michigan is looking on the recruiting trail. Now, before we do, and as always, to the Michigan fans, the amount of support y'all have shown the fellas as we've talked the 2024 season, as we've talked the recruiting trails, we talked Kurt Campbell. It's been amazing. I've been having a blast as a Michigan fan. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one. And again, I want to start with the athleticism that Michigan is going to at the linebacker position. And I thought, and we kind of talked about this trend for a while, go back to kind of before COVID and where this Michigan program really struggled on defense. It didn't struggle with a lot of Big Ten schools, but when it did play a team like Ohio State, and Ohio State wanted to spread us out a little bit more, test our sideline to sideline speed, attack linebackers in zone coverage, we just didn't have the linebackers who might have been really good in 2010 in terms of just box linebackers that can line up and kind of play between the tackles. We didn't have those linebackers that could match some of those elite teams in terms of speed and space. That's been the biggest change you've seen from Michigan. Like the kind of linebackers that Michigan is going after on the recruiting trail the last couple of cycles, kind of starting with the Junior Colson class, they've been more athletic linebackers that can play in space. And I don't think it gets much better than Nathaniel Owusu Boateng in terms of linebackers, speed, and space. He's not necessarily the biggest linebacker right now, about 6 foot. He looks heavier than 205, and he plays much more physical than 205 pounds. He's not the biggest, longest linebacker. This kid is a heat-seeking missile to the football. And his ability to close the distance between himself and the ball carrier is incredibly impressive, and it's all over the film at IMG. Want to take a look, just a couple of reps, and get a feel for what he brings. One, you're going to see him do a lot of different things, but what I love the most is what he can do flying out in space. I mean, again, just in the past, we haven't had linebackers that can close that distance the way the guy like Nate can. That's kind of what it starts with. And then you kind of take a look and you continue to work through the film and say he's just making plays at so many different levels. Again, sideline to sideline speed, you run that back, kind of spying the quarterback, working through traffic, and then just going hawking the ball carry down. Having that sideline to sideline speed so important in this modern era of college football. Run and chase once again. I think that's the same play, actually, but you kind of get a sense of how quick he can close that distance. You continue to work through the film. He plays with Gavin Nix, another IMG linebacker who I think is a stud, just committed to Oregon yesterday. These linebackers just fly around. And again, close the distance, go to the sideline. Really, really good, and makes plays in space. So I think most importantly, what you're getting here is a linebacker that is really good in space, which is really important. Take a look at, so when we talk about his size, this is a really impressive rep. We talk about the size maybe being a little bit of a question mark for Nathaniel. You never watch him and say, wow, he seems like he lacks size, strength, or physicality. And take a look at him just putting his hands on this offensive lineman and kind of just like shucking him off, like devastating hands. And that's something that Michigan's done a great job with their linebackers, getting off blocks, block destruction. He can do it and then go fit the run. Really, really impressive in a lot of different areas. that you kind of watch when you watch Nathaniel Owusu, and you love the energy. I mean, this dude, and then kind of playing that overhang linebacker spot. A lot of different spots you can put him on the football field. A lot of different things you can do with him. Again, spying the quarterback, keeping his eyes on the quarterback, going out, making a play. Kind of just buzzes around the field. Oh, one of those linebackers that's always around the football, which you kind of love. Take a look at lining up right over the center, dropping back here, working through traffic, identifying what's happening, going out, making a play. Love the instincts, love the athlete. Now, I think everybody, at least Michigan fans, where the attention goes now is to four-star tight end Andrew Olish, right? Committed to Michigan back in the summer, has flirted with Penn State, has flirted with Oregon. The big storyline here is we all thought Oregon was going to flip Lincoln Cure, five-star tight end from Kansas. He ends up sticking with Kansas State, which you kind of know makes Dan Lanning in Oregon probably turn up the heat on Andrew Olish, who's going to be signing his paperwork on Friday. Really hoping Michigan can hold on to this one. And you know it's going to be I think Penn State's kind of out. They just signed another tight end. So I'd be surprised if it was Penn State. I think this one comes down to Michigan and Oregon. You're kind of hoping that Michigan can land this one. And if you land Andrew Olish and then you go grab Ty Haywood in the month of January, you're looking at a top 5 class in the country. And I think for Michigan fans, like that's kind of where we belong as a recruiting program. And that's something we've talked about a lot. Have you seen growing pains from Sherrone Moore running this Michigan program? Yes, absolutely. He's a young head coach that had a very difficult transition period here in 2024. The one thing that I think is really exciting for us Michigan fans, we're not playing any games when it comes to talent acquisition. And that's something that even when Michigan was winning all those football games, we always kind of felt like there was some meat left on the bone in terms of the recruiting trail. You're seeing that meat get eaten up. Like Sherrone Moore is trying to maximize this program on the recruiting trail, close on Andrew Olish, go get 5-star offensive tackle Ty Haywood. You're looking at one of the better classes that I think Michigan has signed in a very, very long time. First full year under Sherrone Moore. It's a pretty damn good start. And I think what excites us all the most is, all right, what happens if Bryce Underwood comes out, this Michigan offense completely revolutionizes itself. You start looking at 2026 and say, all right, what can we do at the pass catcher position, at the offensive skill position, a position that's, been so hard for Michigan to recruit to because our offense has, just not been that explosive offense that you see from other programs across the country. What if it looks like that in 2025? What does it look like on the recruiting trail after that? That's kind of what excites me the most. We'll pause it there again. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. Plenty of news to come on the Michigan side of things, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.